Happy Days is an American television sitcom that aired first run from January 15, 1974, to September 24, 1984, on ABC. The show was originally based on a segment from ABC's Love, American Style titled Love and the Television Set, featuring Ron Howard and 3 future cast members. Created by Gary Marshall, the series presents an idealized vision of life in the mid-1950s to mid-1960s United States. The series was produced by Miller Milkesh Productions and Henderson Productions in association with Paramount Television. Happy Days was one of the highest-rated shows of the 1970s. Plot: set in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the series revolves around teenager Richie Cunningham and his family. His father, Howard, who owns a hardware store, traditional homemaker, and mother, Marion, younger sister Joni, Richie's older brother Chuck, and high school dropout, biker and suave ladies man Arthur Fonzie, the Fonz, Fonzarelli, who would eventually become the Cunninghams' upstairs tenant. The earlier episodes revolve around Richie and his friends, Potsy Weber and Ralph Malph, with Fonzie as a secondary character. However, as the series progressed, Fonzie proved to be a favorite with viewers, and soon more storylines were written to reflect his growing popularity, and Winkler was eventually credited with top billing in the opening credits alongside Howard as a result. Fonzie befriended Richie and the Cunningham family, and when Richie left the series for military service, Fonzie became the central figure of the show, with Winkler receiving sole top billing in the opening credits. In later seasons, other characters were introduced, including Fonzie's young cousin, Charles Chachi Arcola, who became a love interest for Joni Cunningham. Each of the 11 seasons of the series roughly tracks the 11 years from 1955 to 1965, inclusive, in which the show was set. The series pilot was originally shown as Love and the Television Set, a one-episode teleplay on the anthology series Love, American Style. Happy Days spawned the hit television shows Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy, as well as 3 failures, Joni Loves Chachi, Blansky's Beauties, and Out of the Blue. The show is the basis for the Happy Days musical touring the United States since 2008. The leather jacket worn by Winkler during the series was acquired by the Smithsonian Institution for the Permanent Collection at the National Museum of American History. Episodes. Cast changes with Season 4. Al Molinaro was added as Al Del Vecchio, the new owner of Arnold's, after Pat Morita's character of Arnold moved on after his character got married. Al Molinaro also played Al's twin brother, Father Anthony Del Vecchio, a Catholic priest. Al eventually married Chachi's mother, and Father Del Vecchio served in the wedding of Joni to Chachi in the series finale. The most major character changes occurred after Season 5 with the addition of Scott Baio as Fonzie's cousin, Charles Chachi Arcola. Originally, the character Spike was supposed to be the character who became Chachi. Season 5 also saw the introduction of more outlandish and bizarre plots, including Fonzie making a bet with the devil, and the appearance of Mork, an alien who wanted to take Richie back to his home world. Although when first aired, this ended with it all simply being a dream Richie was having. After the success of the spin-off Mork and Mindy, this episode was retconned in subsequent airings by way of additional footage to have actually taken place, with Mork having wiped everyone's memory except Richie's and then deciding to time travel to the present day. Linda Goodfriend joined the cast as semi-regular character Laurie Beth Allen, Richie's steady girlfriend, in Season 5, and became a permanent member of the cast between Seasons 8 and 9, after Laurie Beth married Richie. After Ron Howard left the series, Ted McGinley joined the cast as Roger Phillips, the new physical education teacher at Jefferson High and nephew to Howard and Marion. He took over from the departed Richie Cunningham character, acting as counterpoint to Fonzie. Kathy Silvers also joined the cast as Jenny Piccolo, Joni's best friend who was previously referenced in various episodes from earlier seasons and remained as a main cast member until the final season. The real focus of the series was now on the Joni and Chachi characters, and often finding ways to incorporate Fonzie into them as a shoulder to cry on, advice giver, and savior as needed. The Potsy character, who had already been spun off from the devious best friend of Richie to Ralph's best friend and confidant, held little grist for the writers in this new age, and was now most often used as the occasional, dumb, foil for punchlines. Billy Warlock joined the cast in Season 10 as Roger's brother Flip, along with Crystal Bernard as Howard's niece Casey. They were intended as replacements for Erin Moran and Scott Baio and were credited as part of the semi-regular cast. Both characters left with the return of Moran and Baio, following the cancellation of Joni Loves Chachi. Al Molinaro also left Happy Days in Season 10 for Joni Loves Chachi. Pat Morita then returned to the cast as Arnold in his absence. In Season 11, the storyline of Richie and Lori Beth is given closure with the two-part episode, Welcome Home. Richie returns home from the army, but barely has time to unpack when he learns that his parents have lined up a job interview at the Milwaukee Journal for him. However, they are taken aback when he tells them he prefers to take his chances in California to become a Hollywood screenwriter. They remind him of his responsibilities, and while Richie gives in, he becomes angry and discontent, torn between his obligations to his family and fulfilling his dream. After a confrontation that ends with a conversation with Fonzie, he decides to face his family and declare his intentions. While somewhat reluctant at first, they support him and bid Richie, Lori Beth, and little Richie an emotional farewell. Ralph also returns home after being honorably discharged from the U.S. Army in the episode titled Welcome Home, and he decides to become an optometrist just like his father. Ralph goes off to college, and this serves as his last appearance in Happy Days. Gail Edwards, who previously guest-starred in the episode A Potsy is Born, was offered the role that Crystal Bernard would fill but was never told so by her managers, as they knew she would take the role and they did not want her to be a new character on an old show. Edwards would subsequently appear with Bernard in 93 episodes of It's a Living. Happy Days producers Tom Miller and Bob Boyett would eventually get to work with Edwards again, casting her as a regular on their future sitcoms The Family Man and Full House, where Edwards portrayed Vicky Larson from 1991 to 1994.